So Magnus opens with pawn to a4, ploughing both sides of the field. We've talked a lot about this one. Magnus knows his farming. He's from rural Norway. Now we get e5 and a5. Magnus pushing the pawns, and watch how many pawn moves he now makes, just breaking so many opening principles in this game. And his opponent here, Vaclav Finek, don't be fooled by the fact he's just an FM. He's 13 years old, from the Czech Republic, and a bullet and Blitz beast. One of these lockdown kids sat there playing Blitz during COVID. What a player he's becoming. So Magnus, after bishop c5, goes e3, black takes the centre, and d4. We get captures, pawn recaptures, the bishop drops back to d6, and c4. Magnus still not developing pieces. This is Title Tuesday, by the way, a recent game. 3 minutes plus 1 second on the clock for each of the players. So knight f6, and still Magnus doesn't develop his king side here. He plays knight c3, castles, finally gets a knight out, but he's walked straight into this check by not castling the king. And does he play the main move to block and then castle? No, he blocks with this bishop, playing with fire, because you're walking straight into knight g4. We get queen d2, and now black needs to play more energetically here. Take here to take away the pressure. After bishop captures, then there's this bishop f4 move, intensifying the pressure, forcing knight d1, queen d6. Good game for black. But Vaclav just misses his chance. He goes c6. Now we get bishop e2, and knight takes is played, pawn recaptures, but you haven't actually got time for queen e7, targeting this pawn. I mean, king f2 could come, but also the centre is under fire. So bishop e6 covers that one. Magnus now captures. Why would he give this knight a nice square on c6? Well, watch this, star of the show. We get castles, knight c6, and pawn a6. Pure alpha zero mode, running it all the way down the board, inducing b6, and now look at this bishop having an absolute party on that weakened diagonal. So we get rook c8 to cover the knight. Magnus brings his rook to the open file, and now black goes wrong, finds the wrong plan, already like nearly a minute down on the clock. You know, what does the computer want? Well, bishop b8's a top move, maybe preparing queen d6, h6 to take away g5, but rook e7 played, preparing to double, and Magnus pounces. Look at the speed he finds this plan. He's got 2:44 on the clock, and bang, knight g5. He got a second back, so he spent 2 seconds, gained a second. And what I love about this is that that move wasn't available a minute ago. It only just became available. The speed that him and Hikaru see the board. I sound like a right Magnus fanboy, right? But we love his games and the speed they find this stuff. So the rook doubles on the c file. The knight is now hit. It takes on e6. Pawn recaptures, and you've slightly weakened this king. So queen f2 played, and that one is turning into a snake here, slithering across the board, heading for g4, looking to eat some apples, and it's going after the king apple, which now looks drafty. Cut that board in half and look at all the black pieces. This is dangerous. So we get queen e7 looking to add some defence. Queen g5 was a more active move, because now queen f3, and Magnus is preparing to hit the promised land of that g4 square. Knight d8, a good move, trying to take some defensive manoeuvres, but you do take pressure off Magnus's centre, and so e4 is now on the way. Magnus takes a time out though. First brings the rook across, preparing e4, not being on any pins. We get knight f7 played, and here comes the pawn, charging through the centre, ripping things open. So much pressure here, bishop d3 coming. This is very dangerous. So knight g5 played, picks up a tempo on the queen, pushes it into g4, and now not all roads lead to Rome, because you want to take here, liquidate some pieces, but Vaclav does it in the wrong way. He should take with the knight. After recaptures, pawn takes, queen takes, well, you can try and struggle on, you know, bishop b4, top move, you are dropping a pawn, but okay. However, He plays pawn takes, and there's a difference. Magnus can now plough this knight backwards. It has to retreat meekly, and then the pawn drops, but with the knight. And look at this, an absolute monster looming over the ramparts. There's a pin on this pawn. This is so dangerous, and now Vaclav plays a move that unleashes tactical fireworks here. He should go knight h6, force the queen back, and actually it has to come here. It can't stay on the g file, but he plays pawn e5, and this allows Magnus a crazy tactical shot. Now he could already go knight f6 check using the pinned pawn. The rook supports the square and everything, and after the king moves, the knight could then hop to d5, fork these two. But Magnus finds a way cooler move, a move that looks impossible. Well done if you found it while I was talking there. So the move here is bishop to d7, a square that looks impossible. But if you capture with this rook, then white goes to Forktown, population Vaclav, that is dropping off the board. Great game for Magnus still. So the bishop wasn't touched. This one attacked, slides across to f8, and now bishop e6. Look at that. It's like a bone, you know, stuck in the throat of Vaclav. What to do? If you try and sidestep the king, well then there's this liquidation. The queen's overloaded because now the knight takes that loose piece. So bishop b4 played because of that variation. The rook is now hit, but how do you bring the attack to black? You know, how do you just crash through in the most brilliant way? Well, rook takes on f7 was played. After this rook recaptures, Magnus brings this second one, you know, shades of Paul Morphy here in the air. And now Vaclav goes for a tricky defense. If you try queen e8 to bring this rook to the defense, but also keep the queen, again, then you can, whoops, take, I was going to say. But no, okay, sorry, take, yeah. Then you check, that's it. This is, I was about to say check first, but no, you chop a pair of rooks, then jump with the knight fork, queen's dropping off. So queen e8 no good, and queen f8 also problems with knight g5. So queen d8 played, and now if knight g5, well, you can actually take these queens off. White's still winning, of course, but not as winning. So Magnus doesn't play knight g5. He first liquidates a pair of rooks and then goes queen f5, still intensifying the pressure, defending this knight. Here Vaclav's in huge trouble because if he takes with check, the king sidesteps and then he can't get back to defend the rook. So queen e7 played, but now here comes knight g5, and there's a very cool checkmate on the way. And just before I show you the finish, if you're enjoying this video, do hit that like button, hugely helps me out. And if you're feeling really generous, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So what was played here? g6, trying to kick the queen. It now doesn't even go for the liquidation here, but Magnus takes on e5, a tricky move, playing on his opponent's clock. You know, he's a minute ahead, huge in blitz, and here Vaclav hangs himself with king to f8, leaving checkmate in one move. Bang, queen slides down to the corner, and it's boxed in by its own pieces. What a game from Magnus. You know, we've got to start giving these ones a go. Let me know how you get on. Let me know if you can think of a cool name for this, you know. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I hope to see you again soon, and cheers.